What's going on, guys? Alex here with 814 EDC, and today I'm doing a little 2-for-1 video. So I'm ready to do my full reviews on the EMPEDC Ronin prototype and the EMPEDC Nymble V2. So these came in as a package deal via the Lefty passaround group. So Kevin, if you're watching this, shout out to you. Thank you for, again, always, sending so many cool knives around to me and numerous other channels that probably want to get to check out knives like this, if you didn't put them in for us. So always appreciate Kev. Kev is a fantastic guy. You guys know I love Kev. I'm not gonna go down that road, because you guys already know. But definitely go check out Kev's channel if you're not already watching him. So yeah, Nymble V2 and the Nymble X V2 and the Ronin prototype. Yeah. These are the second and third knives I've ever handled from EMPEDC. The first one was the Nymble W, or the Nymble Warney. I really like that knife. The Wharncliffe just spoke to me, and if I ever decided to buy one, I told myself that that was the one that I was going to buy. Never got around to it. They're dope knives, but I don't know. I've just never really been drawn to purchasing them for myself, because I know I can get them in via passaround, or I could always reach out to, one of my other knife buddies and probably ask to check out, a Nymble T, a normal Nymble, a liner lock Nymble, whatever it may be. But John Rusk is the owner and creator of EMPEDC, and he really has been killing it with all the different models he's come out with. And it seems like every time he gets done with one model, he has something else in the works. I know the Relative just came out within the last 2-ish months or so. It's been very, very popular. I think it might be, from what I've heard, a lot of people saying, it might be one of his best models. But I've always been intrigued to check out the Nymble X, because it is bigger than the normal Nymble. I think it looks better because you have this sheep's foot style blade than the normal Nymble. For some reason, I never really was drawn to the original Nymble, just because I felt like it looked kind of odd. I like the Nymble W better. I like the way the Nymble T looked, the Tanto version, and I'm not even a huge Tanto fan. I like the Nymble X a lot better aesthetically. Yeah, so I just, it's a great company. And anytime I've handled one, it's been, top-notch quality. QSP, I believe, does most of the work, but I don't know if he is using Best Tech on any of these. I'm not for certain. I probably should have looked that up and added it to my little stat page here before I came out to, do some reviews for you guys. But yeah, so as always, EMPEDC will be linked down below in the description if you guys are interested. I'm going to put it on the product page so you guys can find both the Ronin and the Nymble X version 2 on there. But I'm going to try to make this a little bit quicker than normal. I know I'm doing 2 knives, so I'm going to try not to ramble on too much. But I'm basically going to do, my standard, materials, action, ergos, and carry for both knives. So hopefully we can get in and out of here, and we'll say under 15 minutes, but I'll see how I do. But so jumping right into materials, starting with the Nymble X V2. It's a little bit of a mouthful. I have to think about what I'm saying sometimes. Obviously, this is a pretty plain Jane version. You have the, I want to say this is just machine tie, and then it has blue accents. So there is the EMPEDC logo right there. You have a blue pocket clip, blue pivot, and blue backspacer. And this is 7 out of 100. If you guys can see that right there. It's pretty thin. Obviously, probably one of the biggest selling factors of the Nymble series is the fidgetability. So of course you have a pill-shaped hole for deployment. In this, the Nymble X, and this was on the first version as well. I just love the fuller, kind of the blood groove or fuller, whatever you want to call it, is on there. It just looks really good. But you have the pill-shaped hole, you have the front flipper, and you also have the back flipper as well. And the frame lock, of course, nice and thin, dead centered. On bearings, like I said, sheep's foot style blade. This specific version is in a satin, and it's an M390 3.5-inch blade on this specific version. You have a very nice, generous forward finger choil right there. Comes down to a nice thin edge. I believe it is a flat grind, but it comes down very thin. And the blade stock isn't too bad. It's kind of right in the middle, I would say, but you have all this jimping right there. And of course, nice and fidget friendly. As for internal milling, there is internal milling on, so there's 3 pockets on the show scale side, and on the frame lock side, there looks to be like there is 2 pockets. But it's pretty lightweight for being a 3.5 inch blade. No complaints at all there. What else am I missing for materials? So on the website I looked, I believe there was a full blacked out version. There is always a, from my understanding, a black titanium with a satin and bronze accents. It looks really good. Most of his models have been having that. This has it. I believe the Ronin has it as well, and the Relative, I think, even had it. But yeah, so that's all for materials on the Nymble X. As for the Ronin, so you have similar milling on the 2 knives, but this is obviously just more spaced out and a little bit more coarse. And it extends to that milled titanium pot clip as well. But a frame lock, you have some relief cuts right there, nice and thin. You have a backspacer with a lanyard tube, front flipper, a Tanto style blade that has a kind of, I believe it's a compound grind, so it's a hollow here, and it's kind of like a chisel up here. It gets really thick. Pill-shaped hole. Obviously, you have the front flipper up here that extends a little bit more. Excuse me. The blade steel on this one is...
Get that. Could you try again?
Sorry, Siri. The blade steel on this specific version is Elmax. This is kind of the Silver Surfer edition, so you have just standard tie, polished hardware, and then a satin blade. And I believe they had roughly the same amount of configurations in the Ronin as they did in the Nymble X V2. So full blacked out, sort of the Silver Surfer edition, plain Jane. And then I also think they had the black titanium bronze accents with a satin blade. And when I looked, which was like 20 minutes before I came out to film this video, this version of the Ronin is still in stock. So if you guys watch the rest of this video and you like what you see about this, this specific model, definitely go run over to EMPEDC, link in the description down below. It still might be in stock when you guys get there, but depending on when you see this video, might sell it by then. But I just wanted to add that in there, which is, you don't see it very often because normally John does specific drops. They always tend to be on like Saturday at 1 o'clock or something like that. And they normally sell out very fast. So for a knife of his to be in stock on the website just on a random Monday, I mean, today's what, July 10th on a Monday, for it to be in stock is kind of crazy. So definitely go check it out if you guys are interested. But yeah, that's all for materials on these 2 knives. Next up, we're going to talk about action, which is probably, again, like I said, the most sought after thing, the most, the biggest selling point, in my opinion, from what I've seen different people talking about with the Nymbles, and frankly the Ronin as well. And that's not to take away from the knife. It's a fantastic knife. Both of them are. You just tend to see, the fidget friendly people love these knives. And this is definitely in that category of fidget friendly. Of course, you have the back flipper, comes out nice and smooth. I like how instead of having the flipper tab go up like this, it's like symmetrical with the back of the blade. I believe Vero started kind of doing it like this, and more people have sort of hopped on the wave. But I really like that because you pull back. You don't have to like worry about, pulling down or anything like that. It's just nice and smooth and works very, very well. You have the front flipper, which works well. Of course, you have jimping all the way up there on the blade. Pops right out of there. Then you have my favorite, the middle finger flick, or the Spidey flick. Flies right out of there. Nice snappy detent. The detent is dialed on this one. You can hear it snapping back into place right there. Works very, very well. Then of course you have the thumb flick, which is probably my least favorite on this specific model, but it works. Just flies right out. And then you have the slow roll. See, sometimes I put my fingers too much on the lock bar and create too much pressure, then it kind of messes it up. But Lefty, you can do it all pretty easily as well. You just kind of have to ride down here on the clip and it'll fire right out. But you basically have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 different ways of deploying this knife. So it's a fidget monster. Then here with the Ronin, you of course have the hole as well, and then this nice extended front flipper. And I tend to gravitate towards liking this a little bit more than the other front flipper, just because I like when it's a little bit more narrow, and you definitely know you're going to, you know, pop it out of there. You can just get great purchase on this. This one works well as well, but I just tend to like a more narrower flipper tab, and I really like how this reminds me of kind of like a friction folder, the way the front flipper is you know, finessed and accessed. But you can also thumb flick. A little bit hard to get into because you have a little bit less space in there, but it'll fly right out. And then of course you have the middle finger flick. But I think the real star of this one is the front flip. It just flies right out of there. Works so well. And it's just very, very intuitive, not hard to use, because I know some people have a little bit of issue with front flippers, but not this one. It just works very, very well. So no complaints at all there. Very, very fun to fidget with, both the Ronin and the Nymble X. So next we're going to talk about ergos. The ergos on the Nymble X V2 are very, very comfortable. So choked back, you guys can see I can still get all 4 fingers on here. I'm not feeling too constricted or, you know, too pressed on the knife or anything like that. Talking to Siri again. Jimping up here, which extends pretty far out. So right here is kind of, you know, very, very comfortable. But the sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? The preferred method of, you know, holding this knife, in my opinion, is using this forward finger choil. I have very, you know, a lot of room back there. The pot clip sits very flush because it's a milled clip, so you're not getting very many hot spots at all. Can barely even feel it here choked back, and then choked up it is just no feeling at all. Very, very comfortable. My thumb rides the whole way up here onto the blade, honestly past the jimping, but I can do some really good push cuts right here. You know, doing a little bit of chiseling or kind of some woodwork. You have a very good grip on this. Pinch grip works very well in addition. So obviously pointer finger up here to control the blade with your middle finger and your thumb to pull through it. That's very comfortable. If you have to do anything in a reverse grip, you have a nice little landing area up here, you know, sort of a pommel if you have to like stab into anything or do some 7-Eleven gas station knife fights over Slurpees with Kevin. Very, very comfortable as well. The milling adds a very nice texture to this knife. It's not too aggressive, but it's not like subtle enough to not feel it. Honestly, no complaints at all there. Feels awesome. And I kind of like how they left the sort of contoured areas alone and just milled the flat parts. I think that looks really cool. And also, you know, just adds a little bit of a difference when you're talking about texture and gripping the knife, you know, in whole and in general. So ergos are fantastic on the Nymble X V2. As for the Ronin, you also get a forward finger choil right here. Choked back, very comfortable, no complaints at all. But this forward finger choil is kind of where you want to be. Also very similar to the Nymble X. It's just so comfortable, and you know, choked back, I can get some nice jimping going on there. And even choked up, my thumb falls right on the end of that jimping, so I can still get a little bit of it. Very, very comfortable. Now the Tonto blade is not as usable as the sheep's foot style blade on the Nymble X, so I definitely prefer this blade. This might be a little bit, I don't know. It's very comfortable because of how thin the knife is. You don't have a whole lot of real estate there. It's not very tall, and it's pretty thin, you know, all things considered. It's just very comfortable any way you hold it. And, you know, it is nice with this hollow grind, but it goes from a hollow grind to kind of a thick blade stock a little bit. So this just is not the most usable blade shape for me in, you know, my cutting tasks. A pinch grip still works pretty well, but you have to kind of get like way up here to drag that tip through it. Or honestly, you could hold it upside down. I've done that before. But saber grip, you know, works really well. Hammer grip works really well. It just, you know, the blade kind of takes away from it, from me personally, and what I use everything, you know, my blades for. But I can definitely appreciate the way this looks. It looks very, you know, menacing and kind of sinister, and just, it's different. It's kind of stub nosed, and I can definitely, like I said, appreciate John taking sort of an outside of the box approach on this. But the titanium, also, I forgot to mention the milling on this one. It's more spaced out and a little bit more coarse on the Ronin versus the Nymble X V2. You guys can see right there. And I really like the way they did this, you know, probably a little bit better, but I think this feels fantastic as well. It just adds so much texture and grip to it, but not like enough to, you know, scuff your hands up or anything like that. It's good. It's well done and, you know, well thought out. So definitely can appreciate I've been saying that a lot. Definitely can appreciate the ergos on both of these knives. So next up is carry. Now carry, I'm a little bit, you know, I'm not a huge fan of these milled clips. They work okay. You know, you still have about this much sticking up out of your pocket, which doesn't bother me too much. I've gotten used to it. But honestly, at first, I kind of think they look a little ugly, if I'm being honest. I'm not a huge fan of the way these milled clips look. I wish they were a little bit skinnier. Something about how fat they are just kind of throws me off, and I've always thought that, but they work okay. They go in a pocket pretty well. This is a righty-only carry. You cannot lefty carry this one. You might be able to carry. The Ronin has these two screws over here. They might be body screws, but they look in the same exact place as the clips. You might be able to carry this lefty, but you cannot carry the Nymble X V2 lefty. It sits out in your pocket. You have no sharp edges or anything over here. You do have a flipper tab way down here on the bottom, so if you go way down in your pocket to get change, coins, those are the same thing. Change, medicine, chapstick, anything like that. You do have a risk of maybe catching this on your finger or your hand a little bit, but the jimping is not aggressive at all, so you can just kind of, more oftentimes than not, you're just going to hit it and bounce right off of it and not have any risk of pulling it up out of your pocket. But for being a 3.5-inch blade, it sits in your pocket very well. It's you know, it's very lightweight for how big the knife is with that internal milling. It carries pretty nice. I carried this in khakis a couple of different times, I think. I mean, I don't know why I keep thinking that every time I do reviews. It's not summertime. I do wear jeans and pants at work, but I don't carry, obviously, these nice loaner knives at work. I carry my own sort of beater knives at work. But I've carried it in khakis and gym shorts multiple times, just around the house in my gym shorts pocket. Don't even know it's there, really. Like, I can feel it, but it's not like super duper heavy weighing me down, which is really nice. So it sits in the pocket pretty well. You know, all things considered, for a milled clip, it carries decently deep. I'm not a huge fan of the way these look. Now for the Ronin, it's pretty much the same thing, except this is a little bit skinnier and a slimmer model. But it sits down in, and you don't have a flipper tab down here because it's facing the other way, so you have no risk at all of pulling anything up out of your pocket if you're getting down to get change, chapstick, so on and so forth. But the clip on this is actually milled, same pattern, which is kind of cool. But same thing, I don't really love the way this looks. It just looks kind of... Actually, I do like the way this looks a little bit better because it's more mounted like... I don't know, like you have more knife underneath it, kind of. I just think it looks a little bit better on this versus the Nymble X V2. But again, that's just personal preference. That's just me being nitpicky. But it sits in your pocket pretty well. With this one, pretty much the same thing. You have about that much sticking up out, give or take. But, you know, not the end of the world. I've definitely grown to appreciate milled clips, and, it, you know, sticking up out of your pocket doesn't bother me as much as it used to, just due to handling more knives and carrying more knives. So it's not the end of the world. Just, you know, a very small nitpick, and again, that might not bother you guys, but carry on these are pretty solid. So that leads me to my final category of price point and would I recommend these knives. So the EMPEDC Nymble X V2 goes for $350, and they are currently sold out on the website. I could not find any in stock or anything like that, and I think $350 is a decent price for these. You're getting really well-made materials, top-notch fit and finish, good quality, great action. John's a great guy. I think I've chatted with him maybe once or twice on Instagram, but he seems like a really good dude, and a lot of other people think so as well. So you know, you have that customer service and that good quality, the backing. But I think $350 is worth it. You're obviously, again, getting M390, nice titanium on bearings, 6 different ways to fidget with this knife. Just all around a great build. That milled titanium, just chef's kiss. And great ergos, just a really good knife. So I can recommend this for $350. I think that's very fair. I wouldn't go any more than that. I think that's kind of the ceiling of what these can go for. I think you start getting up to $400, that might be pushing it a little bit, but you know, $350, I think it's very fair. So, and then the Ronin, which again, you can get this specific version still in stock on the website. So if you guys are interested, please go check this out. This goes for $325, which... Oh. Looks like my dad's out doing some stuff with the skid steer. So hopefully that's not going to bother us too much. But $325 on these, not bad at all. I think that's very fair. You're getting L-Max titanium with some really nice milling done to it. Nice lightweight carry. All in all, you know, no complaints. I think that's again right in that wheelhouse. I know prices have come up. I think these Nymbles used to go for like under $300, but again, in the economy we live in, prices have come up and whatnot. So I think 325's very fair. And then, you know, you can get like Zircuitai kits and Mokutai kits for everything. So if you want to spruce up your carry or your EMP/EDC model, you can definitely do that as well. But yeah, so I can recommend both these knives. I think they're both, you know, I think this, you have to like the look of it to get into it. You have to like the Tonto blade and the skinnier handle. It's kind of like a little sword almost. Not for me. I would probably not go towards buying one of these, but I can definitely attest to the fit and finish, and the quality is there on this knife. And then also the Nymble X is probably the one I would go for. You know, for being a bigger knife, it just fits in your hand so well and very, very comfortable. So I can recommend both of them. But I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna wrap this up now, guys, before I start rambling too much. I said 15 minutes. We're just over 21, so I apologize, but I still think I went pretty fast and pretty good for being two knives. So, but let me know down below, what are your guys' thoughts on EMP/EDC as a whole company? Specifically, what are your thoughts on the Ronin prototype, and what are your thoughts on the Nymble X V2 version? V2. Let me know down below, and as always, EMP/EDC will be linked down below too. So please go check them out. And, you know, go see what they're up to now. But thank you guys again so much for watching. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you guys have a fantastic a fantastic rest of your morning, evening, night, whenever you're watching this, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.